Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good. We're still alive. Football lives. Today we begin with the 12th in the series of hearings conducted by the Joint Fiscal Committees of the Legislature regarding the Governor's proposed budget for fiscal year 2016-17. The hearings are conducted pursuant to Article 7, Section 3 of the Constitution and Article 2, Section 31 and 32A of the legislative law. Today, the Assembly Ways and Means Committee and the Senate Finance Committee will hear testimony concerning the budget proposal for higher education. I will now introduce some of the members of the Assembly, and Senator Young, who is chair of the Senate Finance Committee, will introduce members from the Senate. We've been joined by Deborah Glick, chair, Assemblyman Bill Colton, Assemblywoman Ellen Jaffe, Assemblywoman Rebecca Seawright, Assemblywoman Shelley Mayer, Assembly Barbara Lufton, Assemblyman Charles Levine, Assemblyman Patricia Fahey, Assemblyman David Weprin, and Assemblywoman Joanne Simon, and Mr. Oakes.
Yes, we've also been joined by Assemblyman Lupinacci, Assemblyman Ra, and Assemblyman Lawrence.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning, and welcome to our distinguished guests. I'm Senator Catherine Young, and I'm chair of the Senate Finance Committee, and I've been joined by my colleagues, Senator Liz Krueger, who is ranking member on the Finance Committee, Senator Ken LaValle, who is chair of the Senate Higher Education Committee, Senator Toby Stavisky, who is ranking member on the Higher Education Committee, and also Senator Simcha Felder.
Before introducing the first witness, I would like to remind all of the witnesses that are testifying today to keep your statements within your allotted time limit so that everyone can afford the opportunity to speak. And our members, the chairs of the committees involved today, will get 10 minutes in their calls. Everyone else will get 5 minutes. We'd like to keep it going as tightly, as quickly. I'd like not to break the record of going to 9 o'clock tonight. It's going to be a record.
That actually is not the record, Mr. Chairman, so
Yeah.
we would like to avoid the record.
That's right. All right. State University Chancellor Nancy L. Zimper. I messed that up.
You got it just right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nancy Zimfer, and I'm Chancellor of the State University of New York. I want to thank the chairpersons Young, Farrell, LaValle, and Glick, members of the Assembly and the Senate, the legislative staff for allowing us this opportunity to share a perspective on the executive budget. I'm pleased to be joined today by President Robert Jones, to my left, University at Albany, President Kristen Esterberg of SUNY Potsdam, and once again, I'm happy to be joined by President Ann Kress of Monroe Community College, and it's also my honor today to be joined by Tom Mastro, who is president of our statewide student assembly. He is also a SUNY trustee and a student at Binghamton University. I'd also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the other SUNY campus presidents who are with us today, thank them for their time and their continued devotion to the SUNY system. And I want to thank the SUNY Board of Trustees, Chairman H. Carl McCall, and our entire board for their leadership and support. I believe that while requesting more support for the State University, I need to make the value proposition crystal clear. So I want to take this opportunity to tell you about the accomplishments and our goals to demonstrate the level of performance and accountability we are committed to on behalf of our students. As I shared with you 4 years ago, we've coined a term, an organizational theory that derives from our collective work at SUNY, and we say this word, systemness. For SUNY, it means leveraging all of our campus's strengths and acting as one formidable force armed with an ambitious set of goals to create not just a stronger public university system, but also a better way of life for all of New York. And when we say a better way of life, we mean providing access to high-quality, affordable education to every single New Yorker who wants one, regardless of age, gender, race, religion, veteran status, or any obstacle that might keep them from a college education. It means supporting students through on-time completion. Last year, I shared with you SUNY's ambitious completion agenda to increase the number of degrees granted annually from 93,000 to 150,000 by 2020. Since then, our provost, Alex Cartwright, sitting in the next row, did the math to figure out how we can get there. We still optimize current enrollment by asking our institutions to strive for best in sector retention and graduation rates and increasing our workforce-ready credentialing. And we will strategically increase enrollment to approach our historic maximums and to continue to promote online education through Open SUNY. But we don't stop at the completion agenda at SUNY. We also talk about success, where students go, what they do after they graduate, whether embarking on a career or advanced degree work. That is why we are committed to ensuring applied learning opportunities for every student before they graduate, to help put them on a path to a long-term successful career. It has been 7 years since I came to SUNY, and only 4 years since we started talking about systemness. Today, I'm proud to report that we are working together better and doing more for our students than ever before. Let me share a few examples. First, seamless transfer. Of our 460,000 students, about 30,000 transfer between our campuses every year. In fact, 44% of our baccalaureate graduates started at one of our community colleges. We now have in place a transfer policy that guarantees that when students transfer, they don't lose time, they don't lose credit, or a single hard-earned dollar of what they've invested. They are positioned and empowered better than ever before to complete their degree on time. We also created and launched Open SUNY, the world's largest consortium for online learning. With 230,000 students enrolled in 472 degree programs and 20,000 course sections, Open SUNY is speeding time to degree and driving access like never before. In 2012, we launched what has become the nation's most proactive, comprehensive financial literacy tool. Since we brand everything, we call this SUNY Smart Track. The program includes financial literacy resources and tools, student engagement activities for at-risk student borrowers, and SUNY-wide default prevention and financial literacy task forces which monitor the success of the program and look for ways to continuously improve it. Thanks to our affordability and our work through Smart Track, SUNY institutions across all sectors see lower student loan default rates than their national counterparts. And in 2011, we committed to sharing services in our system and our regions to save money and then take that savings and put it right back to support our students. Shared services is truly a matter of and a measure of operational excellence. Within just a few years of sharing services in human resources, IT, and procurement, we've exceeded our $100 million run rate and have created an operational excellence team to ensure that we continue to save. Last year, we were honored to be joined by Assemblyman Crespo when we announced our new system-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion policy. We have welcomed his input and are so appreciative of his leadership in this area and his patience with us as we strive to be the most inclusive university in the country. Our new policies are a good start, but we know we have a lot of work to do to ensure our students reflect the diversity of our state. Our Board of Trustees adopted the policy in September, which calls for each campus and our system headquarters to put in place this year a diversity and inclusion plan that addresses recruitment, retention, campus climate, and more. Central to the plans, every campus will have a chief diversity officer, offer cultural competency training, and report annually on their progress, which will be tied to campus leadership evaluation. So this raises the question, with all of these initiatives, some with goals met and some ongoing, how do we know what we're doing is actually working? So SUNY is taking bolder steps than ever to be transparent about our performance at every level. We created the SUNY Excels Performance System. Through 2 years of debate, we settled on 17 metrics across access, completion, success, inquiry, and engagement. This helps us see where we need to improve and target our resources to get the outcomes we want and New York State needs. As part of this process, last year we put it to our campuses to create individualized performance improvement plans, and they set very ambitious goals. Our presidents led campus teams that delivered great plans with intentions to establish new degree programs in high-demand areas, to grow enrollment and improve retention, and to expand student services. And in our commitment to transparency, every single one of these plans is available to view in full online. I sit here today confident that none of this could have happened without your leadership and support, and we are grateful that the executive budget provides a good start as we look ahead to what's next for SUNY. Regarding the governor's budget, we are today asking for your support of ongoing and new programs included in his proposal, to restore funding levels that were cut in critical program areas, and to invest in the state university by enhancing funding levels. Let me begin with support for items in the executive budget. $15 million for a clean energy workforce opportunity program, $3 million for the apprenticeship program, and an additional $1 million for community college, community schools. In addition, we wanted to share some details on how we used last year's $18 million investment fund and why it is so important to renew. We maximized the state's $18 million investment by pooling other state funding sources and limited existing resources to create a $100 million expanded investment and performance fund. These presidents can attest we issued a request for proposals to each of the campuses to apply for opportunities to scale or replicate or pilot innovative programs and initiatives. Given the limited funding, we set up a competitive process to invest only in what we know works to drive student success. We received over 200 proposals from nearly every SUNY institution. Last month, we announced the first $18 million of these awards, 32 proposals directly involving 22 state-operated SUNY campuses and collaborations with 9 community colleges. The funded projects included implementing early alert systems, enhancing advising, stronger K-12 to college bridges, math competency programs, new opportunities for applied learning, and much, much more. We anticipate great things to come from our campuses on these projects, and we know from the proposals we were not able to fund that there is much more we can do with an additional $18 million this year. We also ask that you consider expanding eligibility for the Investment and Performance Fund to our community colleges so that they can apply directly and benefit from this innovative approach. Under restoration, as with every year, we ask that you restore the legislatively added funding, a total of $3.6 million for child care, the Graduate Achievement Placement or GAP program, and the Career Center programs. $18.6 million for our hospitals and other areas, including our small business development centers, the Graduate Diversity Program, and the Cornell Cooperative Extension and Veterinary College. And under the category of enhancements, we have some additional asks that we are referring to as an enhancement of our support and restoration requests. Every year we talk about the need for increased base aid for our community colleges and operating support for our state-operated campuses. This year we are requesting $37.3 million or an additional $285 per full-time student for our community colleges. I often hear that base aid isn't a very compelling ask, so I'm glad that President Kress is here to share Monroe Community College's perspective, as well as some examples of the difference an increase in support can make to our community college students and faculty. President Kress.
Thank you, Chancellor Zimpher. I'm Ann Kress, President of Monroe Community College, and I am honored to be here today. Thank you for this opportunity to represent SUNY's 30 community colleges. We bring you a simple and very straightforward request this year. We ask that you increase our base aid by $285 per full-time equivalent student. Our students come to our community colleges for any number of reasons, but at the heart of it, each one of them comes to the community college seeking a pathway to prosperity. But because our college's funding from New York State has not kept pace with our costs, increasingly we struggle to fulfill the promise that we hold out to our students. These are students like Corey. Corey came to Jefferson Community College straight from armed services, and he was struggling with sobriety, and he was also struggling with the ability to care for his family. He didn't know where he would find a post-military career with the difficulties that he presented. But he found a home at Jefferson Community College. And because of the outstanding faculty and services at Jefferson, Corey is now on his way to a degree in human services. He is on his way to university transfer, and he's on his way to a career as a counselor. But 88% of Jefferson's budget goes to the costs associated with those outstanding faculty and staff. And so serving motivated but challenged students like Corey is harder every single day. What I want you to know is that when New York State stands with SUNY, Jefferson Community College can stand with students like Corey. We can also stand with students like Connie. Connie started her career at FIT, and she was a non-traditional student, and she had dreams of a degree in fashion business management, and she saw career opportunities there. But with few resources of her own, she had to use the college's computer labs and software in order to complete her coursework. And it was in that computer lab that one of the deans found her crying inconsolably. And what the dean learned, is that Connie couldn't use the computers because they were so outdated. They couldn't run the software programs that she was required to use for her classes. Much like the computer lab that surrounded her, Connie's dreams were falling apart. And without access to much needed technology, Connie and many of her fellow students at FIT simply couldn't gain the skill sets that would make them competitive upon graduation. What I want you to hear is that when you stand with SUNY, you stand with students like Connie, and you make it possible for FIT to do so as well. Patricio never thought that he would need a college degree. He got a job right out of high school, he started a family, but he soon found that he maybe didn't have the skill set to remain competitive, and he was downsized from his company in Rochester. And then he heard in his community that MCC, my college, was offering a new accelerated precision machining program. And he thought, wow, in 6 months, I could get a college credential and I could find a job. And so he dedicated himself to that. And now Patricio has not just a job, he has a career. And he also has motivation to ensure that his 2 daughters follow him to MCC and go to college themselves. We know at MCC that there are many Patricios out there in our community. We know that Rochester has one of our state's highest poverty levels. We know that it has one of the highest unemployment rates for minority males in the state of New York. But we also know that without increased base aid, we can't afford to expand the programs in workforce development, a program that served Patricio so well. On average, those programs cost 40% more than a traditional academic program. These are high-tech programs. And know that when New York State stands with SUNY, you stand with Patricio, and you make it possible for MCC to stand with him as well. Every one of my colleagues could share similar stories. Our community colleges increasingly lack the resources that they need to stand with our students. Connecting underprepared, financially and emotionally challenged students to opportunity is hard, and it is costly work. Students in every corner of our state are facing uncertain pathways because our base aid has not kept pace with our costs. So I ask the legislature to stand with SUNY. We ask that you increase our base aid by $285 per full-time equivalent student. That will keep our colleges whole. It will help us keep pace, if nothing else, with the cost of benefits that we give our valued employees and faculty. We want to give our students the education they deserve. Help us stand with Corey, with Connie, with Patricio, with the tens of thousands of students who come to our institutions every single year. If you do that, New York will stand strong. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak on behalf of our students and our colleges.
Thank you, President Kress. For our 29 state-operated campuses, we're grateful for the executive budget's proposed direct support of $708 million. We ask for your partnership in enhancing this investment. We have not seen a significant increase of operational support over the past 5 years, which presents a growing challenge as we face projected increases in costs. We are requesting enhanced support of $72.7 million for the state-operated campuses, $61.9 million to support the incremental costs of collective bargain salaries, and $10.8 million to offset the costs campuses incur in internally funded scholarships. President Esterberg is going to offer some perspective on the importance of this operating support to Potsdam and our other state-operated campuses.
Thank you, Chancellor Zimpher. Good afternoon. My name is Kristen Esterberg, and I am the president of SUNY Potsdam. Celebrating our bicentennial this year, we are the oldest campus in the SUNY system and one of the 13 campuses in the comprehensive sector. The comprehensive campuses provide access to a rigorous 4-year degree experience to 90,000 students from working families across New York State. We are typically the economic and cultural anchors of our communities, and we are careful stewards of the state's investment in us. In Potsdam and Canton, SUNY campuses are the largest employers in our communities, along with a hospital. SUNY Potsdam contributes over $375 million directly and indirectly to the region's economy, just as the other comprehensive campuses contribute to their regions. From 2010 to 2014, the state of New York invested in a new performing arts center for SUNY Potsdam, one of 3 designated arts campuses in the SUNY system. Over that 4-year period, the center brought over 300 jobs to the region, an important boost to the region with the highest unemployment rate in New York State, currently at 6%. That facility has brought cultural performances to thousands of community members and school children, enabling SUNY Potsdam to serve as a cultural hub in one of the poorest counties in New York State. We also match public investment with private funding. For example, through a generous $1 million gift from an alumna, SUNY Potsdam created SUNY's first Center for Applied Learning in 2015. A SUNY Performance Investment Fund grant of $750,000 to the center is enabling us to scale up, along with our partner, SUNY Oneonta, and serve as an incubator for best practices across the system. The ultimate aim is to improve student retention and ensure that every student has the opportunity for a high-quality internship, a study abroad opportunity, service learning, or faculty-student research. We strive to maintain efficiency and keep costs low. Our campus saves approximately $180,000 every year through shared services with SUNY Canton. Yet we need state support more than ever to serve an increasingly diverse and economically vulnerable student population. Approximately 17% of SUNY Potsdam students come from New York City. Another 32% come from the North Country, one of the poorest regions in the state. Nearly 40% of our 4,000 students receive Pell Grants. Almost half receive TAP awards. In our freshman class, half had an estimated family contribution, according to their FAFSA, of between $0 and $3,000. Our campus provides nearly $2.8 million in financial assistance to meet their needs, including over $880,000 in privately raised scholarships and awards. Continued state investment in our SUNY campuses is critical to meet the costs associated with negotiated salary increases. For Potsdam, the cost of unfunded negotiated salary increases is about $750,000 every year. Projected increases in the minimum wage will have a substantial impact on our student employment. We are grateful for the state's ongoing commitment to public higher education, yet we know that increased investment is critical for the continued vitality of our students, our campuses, and our regions. Thank you.
Thanks, President Esterberg. For our, also, we are asking for $15 million in additional support for our Educational Opportunity Program, which represents the total amount of requests for funding we got from our campuses for new EOP funds. With the new funding last year, we increased availability of seats, helped offset more costs for students, and expanded summer bridge programs. An increase in funding makes an extraordinary difference to the program. Last year, SUNY received 30,000 applicants for 2,500 available EOP seats. So at the University of Albany, which is one of the most successful EOP sites, I'm glad that President Jones is here to talk about the success of the program on your campus and the potential for the program system-wide if more funds are available.
Thank you, Chancellor, and I want to thank the committee chairs and members for the opportunity to address you today on this critically important topic. EOP currently operates on 43 of the 64 SUNY campuses, including 14 community colleges campuses, with 2 additional programs currently under development. As you know, EOP students receive a range of services and academic support, but they also receive financial support to help with non-tuition cost of college. Most incoming freshmen at four-year campuses also participate in a residential summer program that gives them comprehensive preparation for entering the college experience. I cannot overstate the importance of this program, which has been recognized as a national model. As the Chancellor mentioned, University at Albany's EOP program has been extremely successful. We currently have 750 EOP students on our campus and more than 5,000 alums across the nation and around the world. With the increased funding that you included in last year's budget, we were able to admit an additional 50 EOP students for an incoming class of around 200. I want to thank you for that increase, and I can assure you that it was a very, very sound investment. Yeah. At the University at Albany, EOP's first to second year retention rate is 92%, compared to 81% for the overall student population. And our 6-year graduation rate for EOP students is 78%, compared to 68% overall. So you can see EOP is very, very effective, so effective that we are in the process of replicating critical elements of the program in our university-wide student retention and completion initiatives. And University of Albany's positive experience with EOP is representative of the success of the program across the entire SUNY system. Because it's been so effective in creating access and success for underrepresented and underserved communities, as a system, we would like to expand the benefits to even more campuses and more students. There are several campuses that don't have EOP, but they've identified a large number of students who would benefit from this program. 7 community colleges have requested funds to launch EOP, and system administration has received requests to find innovative ways to expand the EOP program to enhance support and increase success rates among EOP students. So again, I am absolutely convinced of the efficacy of the EOP model, and I am convinced that an increased investment in this program will pay tremendous dividends to SUNY and across New York State. I would like to again thank all members of the Joint Committee on behalf of both SUNY and the University at Albany, and we appreciate your consideration of these requests.
Thank you, President Jones. I want to move to close with a very important request around NY SUNY 2020, and to do that I must not mention at any length the $30 million in state match for our research programs and the enhancement of our capital budget. It means I don't get to tell the story about when Chairman Laval and Assemblymember Lifton visited our presidents at Empire State College. We had to relocate due to an electrical fire. So there's a lot more I could say about capital, but I simply don't have time. So I have shared a lot about SUNY's successes and goals and about our budget asks and the rationale behind them, but many of these investments will not be as impactful as if they could be if we don't enact a critical piece of legislation. In 2011, with your help and support, we did what many thought was impossible. We instituted a stable, predictable, fair tuition policy for our state-operated campuses. Thanks to NY SUNY 2020, for 5 years, SUNY students have been able to plan for tuition costs. Since the tuition plan began in 2011, we have been able to hire 919 new faculty members and approved over 350 new academic programs. Today, SUNY's resident tuition remains the most affordable in the Northeast and among the most affordable in the nation. SUNY tuition is less expensive than systems in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Massachusetts, Virginia, Ohio, California, and Texas. These are the states with the best-rated public university systems in the country, and SUNY is undoubtedly among them while being more affordable. And nearly 30% of the tuition revenues has been reinvested to cover the gap between tuition and the maximum TAP award, ensuring that the highest need students will attend tuition free. There are two core purposes of this critical legislation. One, to protect SUNY students from unpredictable changes in tuition, and two, to provide reliable funding that SUNY can count on so it can provide world-class education New Yorkers deserve. We are glad that the governor included the extension of rational tuition in the executive budget and to once again have the support of our students for the renewal of NY SUNY 2020. And through our student assembly, who will testify later this afternoon, we thought it important to show you that when we say we have our students' support, we mean it. President Tom Mastro.